How's it going? So I didn't really know what to do for a video because I was bored, so I thought this might be a cool little process to document. So right now we have the Hexbug Zinger, the chicken strip robotics machine from Norwalk, and of course we have little Blippy boy. So they've both been done for a little while. I mean, Blip's been around for quite a while, and this one I finished maybe a few weeks ago. But something that I've noticed between them is that the flippers don't really work all that well. Like with Blip, it's gotten a few decent flips before, but for the most part, the flipper doesn't have a whole lot of power compared to something like, you say, a Ripper. Ripper has a much more powerful system in it, and that uses the same kind of blacksmith base. And with this one also uses an N20, but the N20 was just not powerful enough, and it's just not ideal. So I remembered there was a YouTube video by, I believe it was called Treacherous, I cannot speak English right now, Treacherous YT, and he had a video of a Hexbug witch doctor that with a working self-writer and everything. I'll put a link to that in the description. It's a really cool mod with a tutorial on it if you want to ever try it out. But he used some little, these little small servos, the little modified servos, and he attached them to the Hexbugs, and they seem to work pretty well. So as you can see, there's a few little modifications. Normally they have like a 3-put plug, but I have done a little bit of modding and cut them off, so now it's just directly attached to this motor that makes it go. So all I have to do is just solder on a 10 ohm resistor, which he explained in the video, and we're gonna try to plunk them into these and see if they can help with the performance a bit. It's gonna be a little test to see if they can help improve these bots a little bit, because it seems like a decent idea worth trying. But now that I think about it, I don't actually think that I've shown this a whole lot before. If you're wondering what this is the coffin. This is our test arena for the bigger, more dangerous bots like the ant weights and the beetle weights. And I just recently finished it and thought it might be a cool thing just to throw in this video. As you can see, we've got like, it's kind of meant to be like a little arena. We got like the K and the R and a little bit of branding. Very basic kind of test arena for us to fight plastic ants and stuff, but it does look pretty good, and it provides safety, which in the end, this is a safety test box, just made to look a little bit nice like an arena. Thought it might be a cool little thing to throw in because I not really shown it in the videos yet, but yeah, look out for this in a few future test videos. So obviously, if you compare like one of these smaller N20 motors to one of this, as you can see, these are obviously a good bit bigger. So I'm gonna have to make a few modifications. For Zinger, should be relatively straightforward. I mean, the robot literally has a bunch of space here. Flop that in, maybe even the other way if we need to. Either way, that should work well. But for Blip, as you can see, space with Blip a little more limited, but it does have this big bulky thing, of course, to make up the big bulky frame Blip. And looking at this, it does seem like it could very nicely slot in there without obstructing too much. But the next part of this is going to have to be making sure that we can fit this thing into Blip. Because in the end, even if this doesn't work for some reason, I am going to slot a bigger motor in there anyway, so probably good to clear some room out. So that's the next step. As you can see, poor little Blip is in many different pieces. You can actually even see like a lot of scratches and stuff on this poor frame, because I think this might be wrong, but I think this frame I like tested on some like bigger ants sometime. I don't remember exactly, but this frame's been through a lot. But as you can see, it's been kind of completely taken apart, because in the end, this motor in here for the weapon, this whole thing needs to go, because I have to wire up this servo onto those wiring, plus of course adding a resistor. But this whole thing has to go so I can make room for everything, and then I'm gonna have to do a little bit of carving in one of these pieces to make sure I can fit the servo. But we'll check back in a bit. We now have a very big debate that I'm going to try to think through. So as you know, this Blip, I made it before season 7, I believe, so it's based on the original season 6 version. But looking at the season 7 version, I think I might end up remaking some of these parts in the version of season 7. Obviously the face, that's pretty much reusable. That looks kind of the same along some of the other pieces, but this whole frame bit, I can probably remake to look a little bit better, a little bit more square, like that version is. So I think I'm going to end up making a lot of changes to this version and remaking it as the season 7 version. Will be a bit unfortunate and take a little bit longer, but I think now that I have this Blip here, might as well give it a little bit of an update. Original one did look good though, which is the same, but opportunity here. Let's see what we can do with this. Okay, back a few hours later, I've decided I'm going to be a little bit adventurous. I have ordered a few more of these little tiny motors, and I'm going to try to do it without the resistor just because I want to see what happens. May break, but we'll see. Should be fun. So, I of course slapped it on not using a resistor because I was curious how it would work. Was kind of expecting it to maybe shatter, but it actually works pretty well. Of course, it runs off of kind of just like the little volt thing. I haven't tested it with any blockages, so it might explode when I try to do that, but we'll see. Right now it seems to be working, so I'm gonna try to build up a little bit of a new shell around this motor, cut out some space, and it should be pretty good. This is a good start. So as you can see, I mean, we got this cool thing there, blah blah blah, looks great. So some people might be wondering why I don't just reprint this part if I wanted to. As you can see, there's a lot of grinding that's gone on. So I originally remade this to fit with the blacksmith, because of course there's blacksmith over there, and it has the very weird shaped top, and I tried to make a version of this in CAD that would fit on it, and it didn't. And because it would be a pain to actually try to go back through and make it more accurate, and it'd be easier to just sand down the pre-existing one, that's why I keep using this part. But now we should hopefully be able to get almost everything together, and then hopefully do a bit of new painting for the new Season 7 design, reprint this bit, have the job almost all done. So a week has passed. It's been a little while since I've returned to this, but as you can see, we have a very cool looking Season 7 Blip frame. I've got the piano keys because I thought that was probably the coolest config I could make. They're all separately hinged and it looks great. Last thing to do is to get this servo attached on. I have the 10 ohm resistor. Remember, I wired it up without it originally just to test it, so now I'm going to rewire it with this resistor so it won't explode itself when it tries to flip. But this should be almost hopefully done. We do also have a little painted flipper, so this is basically almost done, minus sponsors. Should be able to get it all done today. So it's basically done. I don't know if I recorded the part of me actually finishing it, but as you can see, we have a new flipper actuation in there to keep it all together, and it works very well. And something that is also kind of, so this servo originally broke at the casing a little bit. So when it goes down to that breaking where it broke, kind of flexes it away and prevents it from overturning or whatever. So it actually goes back really flat every single time, which is really nice. I think this looks really great. I love the little doohickeys. Of course, I might still put something here to keep this down because sometimes when it self-rights, it doesn't go all the way back down, but it does do it. It did it pretty well that time. But I mean, it's pretty good. I'm gonna do the same thing with Zinger at some point, but not now because I don't have the time. But in the end, this is pretty much, I think we're gonna leave it off for this video. Here's the little Hexbug Blip. Thank you guys so much for watching, and hopefully you'll see this blip in a future video. Till next time.